your Google search is no match for me. Respectfully, honestly, because there's a lot of stuff online, and there's also a lot of online insurance companies, and I've just seen too much.
All right, welcome back to the Hustle, Stack, Invest, Repeat Financial Literacy Podcast, where we focus on generational wealth and giving you guys the gems from everything from business to entrepreneurs. Today, we've got the opportunity and pleasure of sitting with
Shay Myers.
All right, let's get right to it.
AKA finance for the culture. If
Yes.
you know, you know.
Yeah, if you know, you know. If you don't know, I think you're about to find out. So,
Yes.
As a financial advisor, you cover a very broad spectrum or very broad scope. Can you kind of let us know or let our audience know some of the services that you provide and how you can help not only entrepreneurs but businesses with your service?
Yes, so Finance for the Culture, it's an educational platform, but I also help individual clients with the foundational pieces of improving their finances. So that's budgeting, debt management, insurance needs, investment needs, but it doesn't stop there. I also do financial literacy workshops, speaking engagements, but really the mission is to simplify money and make financial conversations less daunting.
That's dope. It's a very important thing because I feel like for whatever reason, money's always this taboo topic. And it's like you always feel like either you're embarrassed because you're in a bad financial state so you don't want to ask for help, or you don't know who to ask for help.
Yeah.
Nobody taught you or whatever. So it's good to have someone that can break down some of that stuff for you.
Yeah.
No, 1,000% right. I think people sometimes don't know where to go when they need those answers, and so you need that resource, and you provide that resource, and you have a track record of clearly proven successes, right? So kind of share us or tell us a little bit more about maybe individuals you worked with, and there's some other stuff that people may not know, but we're about to tell them because you were the recipient of a grant recently. So congrats on that.
Thank you.
But kind of like, let's hear a little bit more about some of the stuff that you've really helped people with whether it be credit, whether it be or other different things.
Yeah, so the main goal for me is to help somebody build their financial house. So in that house, there's 4 major components. So there's insurance, there's debt management, which also involves credit management. There's emergency fund and savings, and then there's investments. So during the first consultation, I'm just trying to get to know somebody and figure out where they are, where they want to go, and some of those roadblocks that are in the way. And also just really educate. Like, it's actually scary how many people don't know the simplest things related to financial literacy, finance, money, all of that. And so it's just providing a safe space to educate them and strengthen what they already know, but also introduce things that they have no idea about. So when I first started, a lot of my clients needed debt management help. So one of my biggest successes to this date would be helping a client clear $80,000 of debt in 1 year. And part of that, was she landed a great job, but also knowing what to tackle first. So there was a lot of cash money, fast money, this money, that money. I didn't even know that there was so many different loan places, to be honest. I was like, you got 12? 12 is crazy. But there was also student loans. There was also owing to family. And so figuring out what should be a priority. And we ended up clearing $80,000 in 1 year. And that's important because I noticed that people, they may know what they need to do. Like if someone has a lot of debt, they know that they need to clear it. But how? What's a priority? What should they do first? Do they even understand how they got to that point? Yeah. So it's really about providing the foundational information and making sure that they're using the tools and not have the tools use them. And then a lot of my clients get introduced to insurance for the first time. And the same thing happens with that, educating them on the different types, making sure they really understand what it's for and how it can work for them. Because there's a lot of gray areas when it comes to insurance, right? It gets a really bad name, and people need to understand that wealthy people use it to build wealth. So if they're not afraid of it, then we shouldn't be either. And then, of course, when it comes to savings, putting your money in the right place, I have clients who have saved a lot of money simply by committing to it, having the automated payments, the discipline, and, cutting back on spending and really getting a good idea of like what is their money actually doing. So it's really comprehensive. And on top of that, appointments with me are fun. Like I enjoy what I do, and it comes across in what I do. And I'm really, really, like I stand on it that I make it an enjoyable process, because it can be scary, but it's an enjoyable process with me because I've been in similar places. I'm not above anybody. And I also make sure I empower my clients as well. Yeah.
Well, now that you bring it up, like talking about being in similar places, I know you have quite this story. Can you expand a bit on being in some of those places and how you work through that?
Yeah. So 4 years ago, I had $200 to my name. My credit score was 476. I didn't know anything about money. My parents never talked to me about money. My mom always said, save, like make sure you save your money. I'm like, okay, like, okay, where, what, how? Like there was no real extensive conversation. And so when I was about 28, I was just tired of relying on them and not being able to travel and not being able to do things and not being independent. And so I found somebody on social media who was a financial advisor. We built a relationship. When I got a full-time job, she completely like changed my life because she told me, hey, put this here, do this, do that. And I ended up saving $10,000 in 5 months, which was the kicker.
Wow.
I was like, I've never had this much money in my life. Like I felt so nice. And then by month 9 of that year, I had saved $40,000.
Wow.
And then I invested. And like I can relate to not knowing the importance of understanding money. I can relate to not having money. I used to walk to the gym 40 minutes because I didn't have a Metro Pass.
Wow.
Okay, I was losing weight because I was walking so much trying to get to the gym because I didn't have money for a Metro Pass. So I've experienced certain struggles in that way where I don't judge people who are in those spaces now, because we've seen that it's also not very hard to go back to that space if you haven't, or if you don't have the right habits, right? So coming to it with a non-judgmental lens, with empathy, but also like I've actually been there before and not just pretending you've been there before, really, really helps.
Oh.
Yeah.
No,
Wow.
yeah, I think that's a testimonial to obviously your commitment. I think that was the biggest thing, because people can kind of share or tell you kind of the things to do, but you have to commit.
Yeah.
And if you don't commit, you won't get the results and clearly that you've yielded. So again, that's an amazing thing. So when you first started, you mentioned just the educational aspect of the financial world, right?
Yeah.
And I think there's a big gap when we think about the educational aspect.
Yeah.
And one starts with high schools. Right. The curriculum that's in high schools, yes, you have the standard curriculum, this, that, where's the financial literacy aspect? And I think that a lot of us come from, immigrant parents, first generation, right? Yeah. Where they came here and really didn't understand that, this has all been a new journey for them. Yeah. When you look at different cultures, they do have that generational leg up because they've been established. So they've gone through those trials and tribulations. Yeah. So do you feel like if we had a better or representation in the schooling system when it comes down to financial literacy, that would help propel people to steer away from maybe debt, or give them just a lot more guidance to make sound financial decisions?
Yeah, 1000%. So I believe this year they actually made it a mandatory part of the curriculum. In 2019 in Ontario, they had added it as an elective. So it's wild, but it definitely would help, because I feel like when life really begins, or when people say like ish gets real when you get to college. You have more responsibilities than you've probably ever had. You may start working. There are companies who are throwing credit cards at you, and if you don't have the education on how to manage that, it's just a downhill slope from there. So if high school students learned about these different concepts, they'd be way better off. Way, way, way better off. And we can appreciate that things are getting implemented now. But sometimes I think about, like, man, if I knew some of the things I knew, I don't even know if I would be in Canada, to be honest. But yeah, it's just, if you don't have the parents teaching you things, and then you don't have the school teaching you things, you may just stumble upon information, and that's fine. But I think a lot of people are not finding that information, and they're learning a little bit too late. And I want to be mindful of saying too late, because it's only too late when you're dead. I truly believe that. I have clients that are 66 years old, just getting their life together, and they have hope, and they should have hope. But what I know now, I can achieve things in way less time compared to when I didn't know.
Yeah, no, I think that's amazing that we finally have pushed forward the agenda to have the financial literacy in the schooling system.
Yeah.
I remember kind of when we were coming up, we had those economic classes, right? And I remember at that time, I forget what it was, like gold, Barrett Gold or something like that. And then I had a teacher that was saying, well, you need to get into gold and you need to do this, but it wasn't relatable. So it's one thing for me, which is, I think, is a good step to get the financial literacy into the curriculum. But how do we now engage with the audience? Meaning, if the teacher, or you can't relate to the person that's teaching you, and you're like, this guy's telling me invest my money, but come on, he's not from where I'm from, or he doesn't, doesn't see things through my lenses. Do you think that also would help to, again, spark that I think that flame underneath, I would say, the younger generation, where you have people like yourself, Dale, and so many other countless others, where now it's relatable, because now I can tell you, look, I'm actually from there, right? I can show you, if you just kind of follow these steps, that you'll be able, because now you have a real life example to put behind the educational aspect.
No, 1000%. Which is why I think a lot of younger kids do look up to and strive to be like, your rappers and things like that, because they're seeing a relatability in some way. And then there's the desire to do what they're doing, especially if they're successful. I think another thing too is that it's great that these things are added to the curriculum, but the people who are teaching it, do they actually have, like, it's one thing to read instructions, and it's another thing to understand them. So you could have the curriculum and be teaching a class on finance, but if you can't infuse your own personal experience or have some level of expertise in it, then it may not hit the same. Like, if you're just going through the curriculum, but you don't have the education to do that, I think that may cause a bit of trouble. And when I say education, it doesn't have to be you went to university or whatever the case is. Like, having enough experience in an area makes you educated on it, especially if you studied it, But a dance teacher, for example, like, their whole world is dance, and now they're like called to teach this class, there probably will still be gaps there.
Yeah, I agree. I think it comes down to, like you said, it's how is it going to be relatable?
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's going to be where we'll see the greatest advancements.
Yeah.
From it, and you see it so greatly in the American side, and
Yeah.
obviously now with everything kind of spearheading on the Canadian side now, where on the American side you actually have those real life examples, and you have those real life people that are relatable to that audience, and hence why that has sparked this like wildfire over there, and you're seeing a lot more wealth in our communities, in our ethnic groups, businesses, whether it be females now in business, where we are, I hate to say it, behind the 8 ball when it comes down to that stuff. Even when I looked at, I think it was like RBC does like the top 25 females in business. I would say probably for the last, and again, I may be quoted incorrectly, but I don't think I'm too far off. But in probably the last 4 years, I think there's, if only been 1 or 2 actual minorities represented in that group on a female level. And I'm not even talking about me and you. We're not even in that equation. You know what I'm saying? But I'm talking on the female level, because right now, females are the ones that's driving a lot of these industries.
For sure.
And so I just look at that. You know, that right there is a telltale sign for me, where we're missing a lot of representation in key sectors and key parts of this, right?
Spaces.
In the business, right? So we've got a lot of catching up to do, but it starts with platforms like this.
Absolutely.
Making sure that people are aware of, financial advisors like yourself, and making sure that they take advantage of it. It's one thing to listen, but again, it's how do you commit to it, and how do you actually implement it into your day-to-day life to give yourself that opportunity to win, because that's what you're here to do, right? You're here to win, right? We're not here to play, we're here to win.
For sure.
Right?
And it kind of ties into another conversation we're having about the need for like advisors and guidance in business and all these aspects of life. So it's like, why not in your finances, right? So what do you really say to people that are like, they're hesitant, or they don't really know how to tackle that? Like what's the message of, there's a way to fix that, or, get some help type thing?
So somebody who needs help, like what would I say to encourage them to take the first step? Lots of things. So one thing that I do when people book a consultation with me is I always big them up for doing that.
Right.
I know it's a small step, but even just that, like, there's so much financial trauma that the community has, but just people in general surrounding finance. And so the first step, it's like we got to just focus on each step. So instead of trying to get to the door, we need to focus on getting one step ahead. And again, just with the encouragement and the empowerment and just pouring into people, and really just trying to bring a different side or a different aspect to it. A lot of people who come to me have had experiences with advisors already, and people don't realize that one bad experience, especially in an area where you're struggling, where there may be trauma, or you may not have someone to talk to, can make you feel like, I'm never gonna address this ever again. So showing people, hey, I'm congratulating you for taking this step, really helps them want to do more or want to take the next step. And I always, one thing that I've said a lot is, like, everything is not going to change in one day. But it's the small changes that make a big impact. So you could wait for the next, 5 months, or if you actually take a step, the next 5 months can look very, very different. So it's really just about what do you want, you know? And if you already feel bad now, imagine how you're going to feel in 5 months, 6 months, a year.
It doesn't fix itself, right?
Yeah. It's like the compounding effect works in both ways, when you do great things and then when you procrastinate. So I always say the more you do something, the more you do it. And the less you do something, the less you do it. Take the gym. We love using the gym as an example, right? You skip one day, it's so easy to skip the next. You go and you want to keep going.
Yeah.
So it's really just about taking that one step. Yeah.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. Everything that you just said. Not only taking that one step, but celebrating those small wins.
Yeah.
Right? Giving that recognition. And it doesn't have to be, like you said, it doesn't have to be a massive step forward, but recognizing every step forward, right? So whether it be, you know, you're seeing your credit score go from, you know, X, Y, and you just went up 10 points, right? Yeah. Those small wins are what's going to keep you coming back and keeping you on track, right? And then also looking yourself in the mirror and being honest with yourself and recognizing that you may have, you know, a financial issue, right?
Yeah.
Where you have a spending habit, you're spending money too frivolously, right? And you have to live within a certain means. And so if that means you have to take a step forward, to take one step back, to take 2 steps forward, then that's what you need to do. You have to give yourself every opportunity to get the best out of this life, right?
Yeah.
And you have, you know, how you're going to do that is with through credit, through good money management, and through networking, getting in those rooms, right? And putting it all together.
Yeah.
Right.
No,
and like you said, it's about, are you equipped with all of these resources? You can have them all, but utilizing them, right?
Yeah.
It's like I know you use the gym as an analogy, but I like to always use like a construction worker, right? Mm-hmm. You have a toolbox or a tool bag. You have a bunch of tools to build something. You utilize each one of those tools to help you complete that process. They're all uniquely different. So you have to use the same type of mindset, right? And then if you do that, and you're disciplined and you want it, right? Because manifestation is a huge thing. We hear it a lot on social media. Mm-hmm. You hear it probably until you're probably blue in the face at this point, right? Everybody says, talk about it, you'll manifest it. But, you know, it's true. Mm-hmm. But it is true. If you really talk about it and you believe in it and you hold yourself accountable, you can achieve what you want to achieve.
Yeah, no,
right?
absolutely.
And you're a prime example of that, right? You stuck to it. So again, I think that's an amazing accomplishment. Yeah. So I kind of mentioned at the beginning, you were just recently a recipient of a grant. We all talk about we want to get money, right? Yeah. Get money is the talk, right? You know, that's the talk. How do we get money? But tell us a little bit about that process and how you were able to be selected for that.
Yeah. So it's the Shay Moisture Dream Fund grant. There were 5 winners, and I was one of them. And it's a monetary award, and there's also mentorship and coaching as well. And I've applied for many grants since starting my business, and one thing I'll say is you gotta apply, and you can't let not getting one stop you from applying. Like, there's so many, you just gotta apply. You know, like when I hear how many people apply to these things, I'm like, damn, like that's a lot. But you obviously don't know that when you apply. You just have to believe that your business and your mission is worthy of winning, right? So first there was a video submission, max 3 minutes, and I recorded twice, and I was just like, I'm just gonna send in the first one. I stumbled over my words 1 or 2 times, and I was like, this is me, you know, I'm so excited. I'm stumbling over my words. But there was that. And then once the judges picked I believe it was 10. Then the next portion was community voting. And I was shaking in my boots a little bit. I can't lie. Community voting, I was like, oh my gosh, I got to rely on y'all to vote for me. Yikes. But yeah, so that was the second portion. And I won. And it's exciting because one thing I'll say, money is great. And those dollars already have things attached to them. Okay. Like I already know what I want to use it for. There's certain marketing things that I want to put it towards. There's certain events, workshops that I want to put on. However, sometimes apply for things, not just for the possibility of getting the money, but the partnerships that are going to come out of it, the connections, the mentorship, the being in close proximity with certain people, having your brand's visibility be expanded by being posted and people recognizing you. So it was more than just the money portion. I want to go a certain direction with my business as well, and this made perfect sense. And then it was icing on the cake to actually win. So I want to say, like, yes, we need money for our businesses, but relationships and people that you're meeting in a way could equate to money, if that makes sense.
Perfect sense.
Like valuable. Yeah.
No, we talk about that all the time.
We talk about that all the time. I think that's the most valuable thing that you have. The money will come and go.
Yeah.
But the relationships, that is a lifetime kind of commitment or a bond, if you want to say it in that form. But it's something that can open up so many more doors for more money, for more opportunities.
Exactly.
And so I think I hate to sound like a broken record, but getting in those rooms, networking, and really networking, not socializing, networking, sharing the resources and trying to build with that overall objective. You'll see, and you'll go, and it's bound to happen. It's bound to happen. And it's how we started Hustle, Stack, Invest, Repeat, the podcast. That's how we're going to go ahead and take this thing to where we know we can take it, which is, again, not just boxed into just the GTA, but across Canada, because I think there are a ton of people in a lot of the different provinces across the country that have dope stories like you do, that have resources. We just need to tap into them. And then we build this huge army of now generational wealth, financial literacy, minded people that look like us, talk like us, walk like us, and hopefully can dress like us too.
For sure. I want to talk about something that's not as fun and sexy always, but I think it's very important. Since she's an advisor, life insurance sounds like a boring topic, but I feel like it's something that's taboo because we don't want to think of, the mentality is we don't want to think about death. We're not planning to die. But I feel like if people understand it in the context of building generational wealth, it could have a different viewpoint. So if you could talk, we don't have to talk long about it, just briefly, like your thoughts or perspective on that.
Yeah. So there are a lot of things that like the average person just doesn't know because it's not a part of our everyday conversation. So it's not to say that I love talking about death, no, but insurance is an aspect of what I do. And so I'm used to having those conversations. I'm used to educating people on it. And because I truly understand how it works and what it does, it doesn't make me feel a type of way.
Right.
And so just encouraging people, to be open-minded. Because if you think about it, if we think of any other types of insurance and warranty, we like jump on the bandwagon so quick. And when it is our time to go, that's probably the first thing someone's going to ask. Like I've seen it happen with my own grandma. Like the first thing people want to know is, does she have insurance? So what we have to think about is it's actually the easiest way to build generational wealth because the payout is tax-free. The payout is tax-free. I had to say that again. For anyone in the finance space or adjacent, you already know how we feel about taxes, so that's huge. And we don't think about all of the expenses that come with that life event. But it's not just death, it's also getting sick. Those two life events cause a lot of financial burden. And if we can reduce that, we should do that, right? Now, there's many different types, right? And you've probably heard of many, many types, but there's actually a type of insurance that allows you to build wealth. And it's not just about passing away. You can actually leverage the policy and use cash value inside of it to start a business like Walt Disney, to buy property, to fund your kids' education. And when we really start to understand debt, investing, and also like what wealthy people do and what wealthy people use, we will be more inclined to explore those options. I always say that the three things that the average person doesn't like to talk about and thinks is a scam or evil: insurance, investments, debt. And we know that wealthy people leverage those things.
For sure.
Yeah, 1,000%. That's exactly what they do.
Yeah.
They leverage it. We just need to get on board with it.
Yeah.
Right. And I think it goes back to like our beginning, our conversation. Really, the educational aspect of it.
Yeah.
Will take away a lot of those myths.
Yeah,
right. A lot of the
definitely.
fears on understanding that. So yeah, I agree with 100%. Insurance is one thing that wealthy people utilize. They insure their arm, right? They insure everything. They insure depending on what it is, what you're into, right? They insure it because the simple fact they understand that they can leverage that. So I think you're 100,000% correct on that. And again, I would only encourage everybody to really educate yourself on these types of things, to give yourself every opportunity to, really just gain a lot of generational wealth through just different avenues.
Yeah. I'm going to add something real quick. Your Google search is no match for me. Respectfully, honestly, because there's a lot of stuff online, and there's also a lot of online insurance companies, and I've just seen too much. You want to have someone who's going to sit down with you and explain things. You want someone who is actually going to take your situation and then match a solution to that. When you go online, you're just filling in certain things, answering certain questions, and more often than not, what they're suggesting is not actually what you need. And you're not talking to someone who can pinpoint certain things and find out certain things to add certain features that actually make sense for you. So I have many situations of people who've got insurance online and they come to me for a second opinion. I'm just like, okay, so what is this? Can you get this information from the company? And you know what, the company, they don't want to give the information. Wow. They make it hard. You call in, they don't want to answer your questions. They don't want to email you anything. They don't want to give you any concrete information because then you will see certain discrepancies.
Wow.
So self-education is important, yes. Second opinions are also great. And my consultations are free. So please, if you find something, more than happy to look over it, because I've just seen too many situations where people think that they did a great thing, and they did. Thinking and then acting to get the actual policy is a great thing. But if your expectations are different than what's actually going to happen with it, that's where insurance gets a bad name. Because then it's like, well, it was supposed to do this and it didn't. The contract said something different, your understanding was something different, and that's where we get the discrepancy. So it's not necessarily that life insurance is a scam. It's if you don't get the right type, you could be in trouble. It's true.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I mean, it's important stuff.
Not only is important stuff, I think it just summed it up. Your Google search is no match for me. And that's it. All right. Well, again, we thank you so much. I'll end it right there. Your Google search is no match for us. We'll see you on, all right? Nothing but love and respect, as always.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me.
Our pleasure.